Hello, Chuds and Chudesses. Welcome back to another stream. Hello, people. Hello, how are we? Hello. Yes, I know. I look like a grease fest. Do not talk on it right now. Do not. Do not. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Stop typing. Nope. Nope. Stop where you're at. Don't say another word. Okay. What do we got going on today? Well, we got a whole lot going on today. We're going to be watching a ton of philosophy videos. I'm very excited to be talking about this. This is the first time I've come on the stream and said, all right, we're getting philosophical in here. Okay. We're getting philosophical. I almost said it that time. You almost got me. But this is the first time I've actually been capable of just dedicating a stream to it. Honestly, we've got a couple videos I've got saved up that I've been very interested in watching. And we're gonna check them out today. See what kind of points they make. You know, I wanna talk. I'm a big. I play devil's advocate a lot, right? So I try and look at the other side of the view as I'm getting real time POV from you, right? I play the other shoe. So we're gonna see where topics go today. I'm very curious. I've got my list here, which I can low-key post, perchance, post onto Twitch, so then you guys could have access to what we're watching. But I have not done that yet, so tough luck. I don't know what else to say, man. Okay, let's take a look at what we do have a list for. I mean, we got to get right at it. I'm not going to let any time go. We've got 2 hours, and we've got a lot to talk about. Okay. So, what do we got? We got Self-Loathing Man of Inaction. This is by Gamer GG or Gamer Health GG or something. Healthy Gamer GG. I don't know. I really like his stuff. He typically talks about kind of almost therapy related topics. Anyway, we'll get into it. Buddhism, Am I the Alien? Oh shit, chat. Introducing you to this YouTube channel would be insane. Okay, we gotta start at the top just because I'm that type of guy. We gotta start at the top and work our way down. Starting with The Self-Loathing Man of Inaction by Healthy Gamer GG. That's where it is.
The state of limbo, where you're in your head, you know what you need to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. You've given up on life, but there's a part of you that wants to keep.
Damn, starting off strong here. Giving up on life. I mean, damn. To touch on that, I mean, don't do that, man. There's a lot to live for. Anyway, what is it? The Self-Loathing Man of Inaction. So somebody who doesn't do anything, that blames himself. The self-loathing means, kind of embarrassing to say as a person, but like self-loathing I kind of understand, but I never knew a definition of it. Is that crazy to say? Is that wild to say? Self-loathing is like when you don't believe in yourself to some capacity, I want to say. I could be totally wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. But I guess we'll see. So like it's like a downward spiral is what I'm getting at, I think.
The action that you take.
Why is it so damn blurry? I pay for Wow, I have to get a better premium to watch with enhanced. There we go.
Creates the life that you live. And you get so caught up in wanting, wishing, all this kind of stuff that you don't act. You have to have a
low key. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. I was there. I was in that headspace up until this week, this Monday. And then I was like, you know what? Well, I'll say closer to like last week. But there was a part of me that was like, all right, I need to sit down and I just need to do this. No matter what. No matter what, I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to stream 4 times a week and I'm just going to stick to it. And that's where we are right now. And that's that action point. You know, I'm acting on it. You know, a part of me, so much of me wishes to be somebody who's successful doing this. So I need to start fucking doing it.
Whole scale transformation of your life, which is surprisingly easier than people think it is. So today, we're going to talk about the self-loathing man of inaction in your late 20s or early 30s. The only things he does are the things he used to do, and he does them less and less. Has built an entire worldview around his neuroses. I need some time to think, constantly
Oh, there's a lot. Who? Okay. Not to get picky here, but who decided yellow text against a white background was a good idea? Can we? I'm sorry. I can't get over that. I can't read it. That's why I can't get over it. I need some to think. I can't do anything. Only boring people get bored. That's me. Bro, nobody gets bored nowadays. That's like a problem. It's always going to be like this. It's not like things can get any worse. Why should I do anything? Is it like nihilistic thinking? So self-loathing is interesting. Wow, family are the only thing keeping him alive, wishes they were dead. That's crazy. He exists in a state of living death, thinking the same thoughts over and over, day in and day out, even as he understands that thinking doesn't help and that he needs to just act instead. Oh, act. Instead, he is completely overwhelmed by inertia while life passes him by. He has lost everything but can't let go of anything.
He visits increasingly skewed memories of the past, wondering what he should have done instead. Fixated on things no one actually remembers, probably not even to him at this point. I can't do anything. Defeatist who can never quite give up. This is beautiful, right? A defeatist who can't quite give up. Only boring people get bored. That's me. Slowly becoming actually the R word. So let's call it cognitive decline.
That was pulled out of left field.
Okay. It was always going to be like this. Closest thing to fun or new experiences are elaborate fantasies where he reimagines redoing his entire life centered around.
If I could do it, I would have by now. No, what? No, what? That's a crazy statement. Because, like, it hasn't happened. So, like, so you could still do it. Like, you have time. Like,
girls he barely knew in like middle school. Family are the only thing that's keeping him alive. Knows what a schizoid is. Doesn't know if he is one. If I could do it, I would have by now. No one chooses this. Yeah, I was thinking about doing that. No, it's no.
Okay, we read these.
Why should I? State of living death, thinking the same thoughts over and over while life passes. No reason to live, no reason to die, no reason. Okay? And then haunted by vague, dusty delusions of megalomania.
So they just think life is pointless. So nihilistic thinking.
Yeah. The self-loathing man of inaction. So I really like this part. Defeatist who can never quite give up. Right? I think this speaks a lot to the self-loathing man of inaction. There are a lot of people out there who struggle with this, who view themselves as people of inaction. For whatever reason, it's always framed as a man on the internet.
Like lazy? I feel like lazy is a better word to be using, bro. The man of inaction. The man of inaction. The man of laziness.
And so they're stuck in their head. They can't move on, but they can't let go, right? So you're kind of always like, it's the state of limbo where you're in your head, you know what you need to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. You've given up on life, but there's a part of you that wants to keep trying. And so it's this weird like balance of like, okay, I'm hopeless. And then one day I have hope, but you actually become afraid of hope.
Do they have those like intermittent days of hope? I feel like once you feel one of those days of hope, you just grasp onto it, you know? It's like, I ain't never letting this go. Why should I? Why should I ever lose that piece of hope, bro? Never mind. I'm not. I'm realizing the flaw in my theory here, and I'm going to take that all back. I mean, you could totally lose hope in things, especially like after they've happened.
Because hope means trying.
There's no hope we're getting Charlie Kirk back. No hope.
And hope means attempting. And hope means hoping. And if you try,
Thank God.
and if you attempt, and if you hope, when those things don't work out, that leads to more hurt. So you kind of get stuck in this like longing for limbo, right? A desire for numbness. Because if you're numb, then there's no hope. And if there's no hope, there's no disappointment. And if there's no disappointment, there's no hurt. And at the same
But then on the flip side, nothing's getting done, which I mean, I guess is the point. But like, that's kind of the point he's getting to, I think, in this video, is that you just need to start doing shit. But like, no shit, you're not going to get anything you want in life if you're not doing anything. Like, even doing something that isn't practical to what you want is better than doing absolutely nothing.
same time, even when you're numb, you long to feel things. That occasionally there'll be like a ray of sunshine through the clouds where you have a little bit of hope. You smile a little bit. You feel a little bit of relief. But then you're scared because you don't know how to create that consistently. And so you view yourself as a person of inaction. So we're going to approach this. I mean, there were 2 or 3 ways that I could talk about this. My first thought was I would go through and address each of these like sentences and explain the mechanism behind that. Maybe we can do that. But I want to start sort of in a different place. So
by mechanism, do you think he's going to get into like the scientific, like what's going on inside our brains, our synapses?
The first thing I'm going to say is that this is not a man of inaction. This is a man of an intense amount of action. See, this
What? You're not a man of inaction. You're a man of intense amount of action. You've actually got so much action that you can't do anything with it. You got so much motion, twin, that you don't even know how to show your motion, twin.
This is the first and largest and most catastrophic mistake we make. When you look at your life and you think to yourself, I never do anything, this is categorically wrong. The reason your life is the way that it is because you are doing things all the time. May not make sense, so let's dive into it and be a little bit more technical. So this is one of the biggest things that the theory of karma teaches us, right? Actions have consequences. This is a scientific truth.
Facts. Bro. It's a country of free speech. But you're not free of consequences, man. Actions have consequences, man.
There's a cause and there is effect. This isn't spiritual. This is science. So the life that you have created around yourself is not a result of inaction. It is a result of action. So for example, if I wake up today and I log onto the computer and I play video games for 8 hours, that's not inaction. That's action for 8 hours. And that will have an effect.
Yeah. I get to gold 3 in Valorant, bro. The effect is I get diamond in Valorant, bro. 8 hours of grinding, bro. Bro, you'd have me. Never mind, not funny. I stuttered.
If I wake up today and I do not apply for a job, I will not have a job tomorrow. So that every day when I wake up in my life, what the truth of the matter is this life is not a result of inaction. And this is why it's so hard to fix. Because it's not that you've done nothing. Moving from neutral is not hard, right? Very easy. A small amount of acceleration in the positive direction, if I am at neutral, will result in a positive velocity, right? If I start walking forward and I was standing still, I will start covering ground. That's not what happens with the man of inaction. Positive acceleration results in a negative velocity. How is that possible?
Because it's not directed in the correct manner. You're not going the right direction.
That's because they are moving in the wrong direction. So,
booyah! Fuck you. I'm so smart.
it's not a man of inaction, it is a man of wrong action. When people hear about our coaching program, their first response is usually, why would I work with another human being when I can watch a YouTube video with those are action don't early. So these people are taking action literally. They are taking actions every single day. You don't just sit in your bed all day. You get out of bed, you do particular things. Those are actions. Maybe you get high. That is an action that has a consequence. And maybe you say, but Dr. K, I do lay in bed all day. That too is an action. Laying is a verb, right? Like technically. I am sitting right now. This is an action I am taking. Your whole life, you have no choice but to take actions.
It's kind of spitting facts, though. I'll have to admit. I never think about it that way. So many people think of things as inaction. You're not doing something, or you're like, if you don't go out with friends a night that they invite you out, you're not doing nothing. You're choosing to. You're doing something at home then. No fucking shit.
And so if you look at your life and it has completely fallen apart, this is not a result of inaction. This is a result of wrong action. And you know this. Because you look back in your life and you said, I should have done this, I should have done this, I should have done this, I should have done this. What did you do instead of the things that you should have done? You did something else. You didn't ask that girl out. You didn't apply, you didn't do the extra credit. You decided not to go to school. You stayed home.
Counter argument. Calculated denial of action. You found out she kissed a quarterback under the bleachers the day before. Well, now I'm not asking that girl out. I'm glad I didn't ask her out 2 days prior. So, counter argument, sometimes inaction equals good.
So this is one thing that y'all have to understand. The biggest thing that you have to understand. You are always acting. There's no such thing as inaction.
I was going to try and think of some actor clip that would be famous to say, but nothing came to mind, and I just kind of short-circuited. It was just...
Arguably there is, but very few people on the planet truly engage in inaction. If you guys want to understand that, we can talk about it at the end. So here's the thing that I want you to understand. The life that you live today...
Pause. I'm sorry. I just got a text from my ex-roommate. Excuse me. Backroom sequel is already confirmed.
It's a consequence of your actions. So it's not that you need to act more. It is actually, here's the big irony, it is that you need to act less. What you actually want...
Stop doing shit is the solution. The self-loathing man of inaction must stop doing things. Kind of an oxymoron if he didn't explain it like this.
Is inaction. And this is why these people are fundamentally stuck. Because what they try to do is they try to do more, and instead what they need to be doing is doing less. Doing less of the wrong thing will move you in the right direction. So most of these people are running in the wrong direction in life. The right way to stop, if you're at minus 100 and you want to avoid getting to minus 200, the first thing that you need.
He explained it backwards, and it's just fucked up my brain. If you're going minus 100 and you're trying to stop going to minus 200, the best thing to do is to just stop. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense now that I said it out loud. I need to walk myself through that problem, man. That was like reading, when teachers told you to read the top notes of the homework to make sure you got the extra credit if you read it, or the instructions at the top just to teach you to read instructions. Yeah, sometimes I'd be reading those sentences for 2 minutes because my dyslexic ass could not figure them out. And I would whisper during tests, so sometimes I have to whisper the question to myself because I couldn't figure it out. Please tell me I'm not the only person that's ever done this. Please tell me. Bro, I'd have to say the questions out loud to myself under a whisper during tests so I could understand them. Is that insane? Was I bad at school?
Is learn to sit still. Just stop moving. Stop doing the things that you are doing. Don't even try to do the right thing. Stopping doing the wrong thing is sufficient. And this is what's really weird. This is what confuses people. See, if you want to lose weight, you don't need to eat anything. You need to stop eating. If you...
Holy analogy, bro. I couldn't think of another analogy that could have beat that, bro. That was crazy. That was an insane analogy, bro.
Want to recover from any addictive substance.
This is an hour-long video.
The solution to addiction is inaction. Right? It's kind of weird.
Might only watch half this video.
So, there's one other layer that we have to add on, which a lot of people don't really think about, which is that we assume that actions are physical. So this is the other big thing you have to understand.
Name a mental action right now. I'll wait. Telekinesis. Telekinesis does not count. Bro, you do not have telekinesis.
Understand. 95 to 99% of the actions that a human being takes are in their mind. I'll give you all a really good example of this. So there is something called obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, in which someone has obsessive...
I was going to say that.
Obsessive thoughts. So they will think something that feels really overwhelming, like, unless I turn on and off the light switch 7 times, the plane that my family is on will crash and everyone will die.
Trying to think of somebody that had OCD. I don't think anybody in my life has had OCD.
This is what we call an obsession. An obsession is a thought that is repetitive and usually intrusive and causes distress. That is technically what an obsession is. Then what happens is the compulsion is the action that you take in response to the obsession. So when I think these thoughts, I will act in some way. But when I act in that way, it reduces the emotional energy of the thought. The only way I can get the thought to disappear is by taking this action. So when I flick the light...
So you have to trick your brain into being semi-OCD to get your shit done? If I don't get my shit done, I won't get paid. Gotta get my shit done. Gotta get it done.
Switch on and off and on and off and on and off. When I do it 7 times,
he was backwards,
then
sir.
The thoughts are calmed. So now I am taking a physical action to reduce a mental action. And if we kind of think about it, thoughts lead to other thoughts, right? So this is why I like this principle of karma, because in the English language, when we use the word action, it has an implication of physicality to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I would almost blame like the movie / theater industry for that. Right, because the lights, camera, action, I think so much of it was like play related, you know, like theaters and plays, which means things were happening. But perchance I'm wrong. I'm just making shit up.
But when we say karma, karma is an action. But the key thing about karma is it's anything that is a cause that has an effect. That is a karma. And so if you have a thought, does that have an effect? Absolutely. So this is what we do in psychotherapy. If someone has, for example, a destructive schema, a worldview that is negative, we can alter their mind so that one thought does not lead to...
What? You can alter their mind?
We can alter their mind so that one thought does not lead to another thought, does not lead to another thought. Each thought you have is an action. There's a great lecture over on the membership side that we have about mental karmas, which y'all should definitely check out. There's also something, I think, in the trauma guide about it as well. All right, so if y'all are really interested in understanding and mastering this idea that each of your thoughts is in of itself an action.
So yeah, I guess that is a fair assumption that you can, or a conclusion that you can come to in your brain. I was just thinking, because I don't personally think of the thing up here that speaks up here inside my brain. You know, I don't know if everyone has one. The voice inside their head, the actual voice, you know, the one that actually speaks to you, is separate from me. I don't know how else to put that. So what's going on up in here is not always trusted. But yes, I could see how each time it talks to me or has an idea, it's speaking, in which case that is an action. That makes sense in my head.
Right? Because each thought has a consequence. In a panic attack, what happens in a panic attack? I have one thought that leads to another thought, that leads to another thought, that leads to another thought, that leads to another thought. And then these thoughts over time become overwhelming. They activate my physiology. I go crazy for a little bit, and then my brain short circuits. My heart can even short circuit for a little while, and then the whole system shuts off. And even I want y'all to really understand this. If you think that your life has fallen apart because you're a self-loathing man of inaction, think for...
You just need to act. Your life isn't apart. You just need to do something.
For a second. What are the causes of your current life? Self-loathing. So when you view yourself, when you literally have this thought, if we can inject these thoughts into any human brain, they will have a similar consequence. Self-loathing is an action. It is a mental action.
In that case, is like happiness also in action, or like any other emotion also in action?
It is a particular kind of thought. And those mental actions will lead to physical actions. And this kind of makes sense, right? If I think about taking a sip of water, that is what results in taking a sip of water. So this is where, and if you kind of think about it, right, if you're one of these people, what you find is that you're very drained at the end of the day, even though you've done nothing. What's draining you if you've done nothing?
Because technically you have been doing something this whole time. You've been taking action this whole time. You've been self-loathing this whole time. I'm locked into this now.
You've done a lot.
We'll finish this section and then
You've actually done a
move
lot
on.
of physical action too. And this creates an inertia in the mind. It creates all kinds of effects in your mind and in your life that make it hard for you to act in the right way. So it's not that you have inaction, it is that you have an overabundance of wrong action, right? You've created a really problematic life and you've created a very problematic thought process. A really good example of this is if I have a thought of suffering, if I feel some degree of suffering, what do? I reach for numbness.
Is that like instinctual? Is that human instincts to reach for numbness when I already forgot what he said.
Feel some degree of suffering.
Suffering. Suffering was the word he used. When people feel suffering, is numbness what we reach for? Is that like scientifically proven?
What do? I reach for numbness, right? I feel hopeful. And if I feel hopeful, this hurts. My mind attaches, be careful now.
Now I'm lost again. Why do you attach hurt to hope then?
This hurts. I feel hopeful. I reach for numbness.
Okay, you're suffering, so you reach for numbness.
Right? I feel hopeful.
Does reaching for numbness result in feeling hopeful?
And if I feel hopeful, this hurts. My mind.
Why would you attach being hurt to being hopeful?
Attaches. Be careful now. Be careful here, okay? When you feel hopeful, your mind attaches a fear to hope. This is an association.
Why? Because then you can feel unhopeful again? You're fearful of feeling unhopeful?
When I feel hopeful, I have learned to fear hope. And since I now fear hope, I need to shut off hope. And so then I reach for a numbing agent. Take your pick of whatever suppresses the limbic system. Video games, pornography, social media, marijuana, alcohol, whatever. Take your pick. And then we numb.
It's a fucking long list of things.
Ourselves. We numb the fear. And along with it goes the hope. But then we create a huge problem. Because when we begin to numb ourselves, we shut off the part of our brain that motivates physical action. One of the most powerful motivators are our emotions. But there's two.
That's very interesting. I wonder how that associates with like the idea of stoicism. If emotions were and are I mean, I could only assume, right? You see people act in fits of rage and it's like devastating actions, life-changing actions. I wonder if people that practiced stoicism got less done societally in like 100 years compared to a society that, like, if you had two societies, one of them practiced stoicism and one of them practiced whatever, whatever, feeling your emotions, would the society of stoicism evolve slower because it's not motivated by emotions as much as the other society? Is this making any fucking sense?
Too much negativity, right? So we have to numb it. And that therein lies the problem. The more that we numb the negativity, the more of the negativity builds up. So the first thing that we have to understand is that we are not men of inaction. We are men of an intense amount of action. And if you really stop and think about it, what does it take to screw up your life as much as you've screwed it up? right? And I say this as someone who screwed up my life. Like, it took a lot of effort to screw up my life the way that I screwed it up. It took struggle day in and day out. The amount of avoidance that I had to engage in was astronomical. The amount of
Yes, but aren't these actions that cost us the least amount of energy? I mean, I think about this a lot because I think this is almost how humans act. Humans, just like most states of matter, want to be in the lowest possible setting they could possibly be in. They want to settle down. And so it's easy for us to develop feelings of like self-loathing, I think, and like sad feelings, because that's naturally what like that's naturally what we want to do. So it takes effort to put in energy, right? I don't know if that made any sense.
the amount of avoidance that I had to engage.
So like what I'm trying to say is like avoidance is easy to some aspect because it's easier to not have a conversation with somebody than it is to have a conversation energy wise. So your body not only is convincing you, well, not convincing you, you are choosing avoidance, but your body is also supporting avoidance. Because if you do confront, then you get into like a high stress situation that burns energy.
In was astronomical. The amount of I used to sneak out to my mailbox in the morning to steal my transcript so that my parents would not find it.
Yeah, actually, I did some of this shit in my childhood too. Bro, I had a full-on like cyber war with my dad at some point. It was crazy. Back when iPhone dropped screen time for the first time, I was a fucking fiend, bro. I would try to be honest. I know what y'all are thinking, bro. I just wanted to listen to YouTube going to bed. I still do it to this day, bro. It's a habit that I've just never been able to drop. I wanted to listen to YouTube when I go to bed. But my dad always had a screen time on that shit. And so instead of just going to bed, you know what? Yeah, this is this is a good point. Instead of going to bed, I would sneak out and I would go onto his device because I would know his password, and then I would figure out. Wow. I would figure out the screen time password, and sometimes this would require me to like go on GitHub and download a like sketchy software to figure out the screen time passcode to pull it in case you forgot it, because you can't just reset it. And so I would pull it on like a terminal on a Mac, and I would get it and then I'd plug it in so that I could give myself screen time. And then sometimes I would even change it to a different number so that he would not know it. And then I would extend my time I could have screen time because he would not know how to reset it. Dude, 13-year-old me was going crazy. Don't do that, kids. It's not worth it, bro. Just go to bed. I can promise you, bro. Do not develop this habit. It's terrible. It's terrible for sleep, bro. I haven't had a dream in years.
Because if they found it, there would be consequences. And if there were consequences, then I would change. And if you really look at these self-loathing men of inaction, they work really, really, really hard to protect themselves of the consequences of their inaction. I'm going to avoid these people for the holidays. I'm not going to show up. I'm just going to ghost. You work really, really hard to avoid the consequences of your life. when you shut off your emotions and you shut off the consequences of your life.
I feel like this is how, I don't want to say healthy people think, but like people who are good at confronting or good at attacking their problems in life. I feel like the sooner you just get it off a checklist, the sooner you just do it, the easier everything feels because it's no longer on your to-do list, right? Like once it's all done, you can just say, all right, done, boom. Do fuck all. Do whatever you want now. There's not even a single ounce of pressure. Just do it, bro. Do your homework. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you need to do, bro. Just check it off.
What ends up happening?
It takes more time and stress to put off your homework than just doing it.
You propagate along the same path, right? You're removing the things that stimulate what you would call action. Make sense? So this is not inaction. This is an immense amount of action. A lot of action. Very difficult action. That's why it's so hard. That's why it's so draining. And the more that you numb yourself, the more that your trash can starts to overflow. And then you have to cover it up with all kinds of things. Now I'm going to fill a whole room of my house with trash. I'm going to open the door and I'm going to throw trash in and I'm going to close it up. So if you really stop and think about it, what you will discover is that you are taking all kinds of mental actions. You are running away from things all the time. All the time. You're running. You're so busy running away from everything that you can't have anything to run towards, right? So achieving goals, building a life worth living is about running towards something, not running away from something.
That's a good point. I don't really have anything to follow up with. I don't know why I paused there.
For the most part. And then you end up with this life. So what do you do about this? The first thing is to do less. So in my case, I went to India for 3 months and did a whole lot of truly nothing to receive what the world sends your way.
That's a fun thing to do, chat. If you just truly do nothing for like an hour, your brain goes wild, dog. You lose track of time so quick. So much time. You think time passes so quickly. Then you check in like 5 minutes pass. Especially like if you do it for an hour. If you do it 1 hour, I guarantee you the last 10 minutes of those 50 minutes are the longest 10 minutes you've ever had in your entire life. Because your brain's just receiving all types of shit. You're going through so many scenarios in your head, or you're continuing down one at like lightning speed. Bro, your brain just goes wild because it gets a little taste. It's like a dog in the forest, bro. It gets a little taste and it sniffs around and it just keeps going. It's awesome. Actually, now we got into a dog analogy, bro. One of the best analogies I heard for your subconscious is treating it like a puppy, and you could just give it a scent, right? So the scent is what you want to do in life, right? And you got to keep reminding the puppy what the scent smells like. So every day, our strength coach is what kind of introduced us to this, and he would have us write goal cards, and every day you would have to take a look at that goal card. Granted, you didn't have to. Nobody was looking over your shoulder to ever check it. Nobody was like, well, did you check your goal card today? No. But when you did, you would remind your subconscious of what you wanted. And so our goals for that year for weightlifting, I mean, when I saw it every day, it would remind my subconscious of what I wanted. And I would start identifying ways to get what I wanted more often. It's crazy. When you day in and day out remind yourself what you want, your subconscious like hyper focuses on it. The issue is like most people just don't remind themselves or fall flat one day. Like consistency is hard. It's difficult. And like it's easy to get sidetracked nowadays with all the short form content and what it's doing to our brains and shit like that. I mean, anybody can go on that rant.
To start to respond to it. Don't try to steer the course of your life anymore. Let the fruit that you have been cultivating, harvest it. See, as you start to do less, the consequences will start manifesting, and you have to absorb all of those consequences. It feels like it's too much, but it's not too much, right? All you have to do is actually nothing. Just let it.
All right. Well, we watched the rest of that section. That was this is a beautiful video. I know it's going to be a beautiful video. Thank you, Healthy Gamer GG. Appreciate that. Amazing video. Let's move on to our next one. Buddhism is kind of out there, man. By Exerbia, chat. Exerbia, low-key, might be the reason I am as philosophically in touch as I am. Because at a young age, I saw one of his videos, and I actually saved it here. I saw "And Then We'll Be Okay," which I will eventually show you guys. This is one of my favorite videos of all time. Of all time. Posted 7 years ago. I would have been 13. 13 when I saw this video, which I assume tracks. Bro, swear to God, this is what got me into just how other people think. Or no, actually that story specifically was understanding consequences in life, but like in a good way. But we'll watch, this one was posted 4 years ago. Buddhism is kind of out there, man.
Morning comes and you wake. Your first awareness is of boundless misery. You long for some kind of caffeinated beverage so you can be miserable faster. You exit your place.
Whoa. Why are we spitting flames on caffeinated beverages here? I am a devout caffeine drinker. I'm a devout caffeine drinker. A bit too much at days.
Of dwelling and enter the beverage establishment a few streets down. Coffee, please, you say to the barista. Milk or no milk, they ask. Milk, please, you say. Colombian or Brazilian beans?
Milk's the right option.
Colombian, you say? It really doesn't matter. Northern or Southern Colombia? Really? I don't mind. I don't mind. Good choice. Now, beans that grow at 3,000 or 4,000 feet? What difference does... I don't care. I don't care. Well, there are at least 15,000 growers in that region. I really don't mind. Would you prefer your grower likes or dislikes rappers whose names begin with the prefix Lil? What? Lil Pump, for...
Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Pump, Lil Baby. What else we got? I actually can't name another Lil. Lil Tecca. I can't name another Lil.
For example. What? I don't give a shit. Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi Vert,
Lil Yachty.
Lil Chair, Lil Table, Lil Dachshund, Lil Harpsichord, Lil Tokamak Nuclear Fusion Reactor. Well, Buddhists believe that is the human condition. Sort of. A perpetual cycle of chasing after contentment and ultimately receiving only dissatisfaction. This dissatisfaction is called dukkha.
Always reaching for contentment, but always finding a sense of dissatisfaction. Whoa, brother. Whoa, brother. Sound like works out when I say it out loud. I hear it. Once I say it out loud, it registers in my brain.
This game of rebirthing over and over into dissatisfaction happens in samsara, which is where we live, apparently. And the idea is
we live in samsara? Who's going to tell me, bro? I thought I lived on Earth.
Stay in samsara, living, learning, dying, being reborn, until we hopefully attain enlightenment. But what's enlightenment? How is wisdom achieved?
I've reached enlightenment, believe it or not. It's true. Just gonna have to believe me, bro.
What in the sweet bejesus is going on with giraffes?
No, let's not talk about the giraffe's tongue. Let's not talk about the giraffe's tongue, because we have bigger problems to address. The whole fucking giraffe. What's going on with giraffes, bro? Why do they exist? How do they exist? I understand evolutionarily they wanted to get to the higher trees. Bro, there's no The Apatosaurus was wiped out during the dinosaurs. Nothing else like it should have ever existed. How do we have giraffes but not unicorns? No narwhal X horse developed, but we have a 40-foot long necked giraffe. Yeah, okay. And their tongue is blue and long. Ugh.
Tongues. No, but seriously, look at that.
It's purple. Ugh.
And that.
Okay, why the eyelash is kind of done though? They low-key mog like most girls' makeup routines. Not to be that gay.
And just. It's been a weird year. Well, for all of that, we'll need to talk about the big man himself, Siddhartha Gautama.
I was going to say Buddha. Is this Buddha?
Who you will shortly recognize from his stage name, the Buddha. We
What was his real name?
begin in Nepal about 2,500 years ago.
Pause.
Well, for all of that, we'll need to talk about the big man himself, Siddhartha Gautama.
Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama, also known as Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama. Gautama. Locked.
Who you will shortly recognize from his stage name, the Buddha. We begin in Nepal about 2,500 years ago. Siddhartha Gautama is born into a cushy royal family, and trying to be nice, Siddhartha's dad shields him from the nasty things in life and keeps him in a massive palace. Until, at 29 years old, on a rare jaunt outside the palace, Siddhartha notices people who are like way sick and like way old and like.
Bro didn't know about old people. Are we serious? He got shielded from the bad, so he shielded him from old people. What was his dad doing? Not aging? 29 years of your life and you didn't notice your dad aging a bit? Brother. 29 years of your life and nobody in your life got sick? Brother. What?
Way dead, and realizes, as my climber friends insist on informing me, the universe is a pretty gnarly place, bro. So, soon after, he leaves his kingdom and sets off in search of a way to rid the world of suffering.
Keep moving, bro.
It's a long story, but finally, Siddhartha outside the palace.
Oh my
Siddhartha
God.
notices people who are like, wait, soon after,
I'm pressing fucking buttons. I need to stop, bro. Oh my God. I'm pissing myself off.
Finally, Siddhartha sits under a tree, determining that he will not get up again until he has realized the true nature of mind.
Bro, can we talk about that? Let's talk about that. We're going to good mythical morning this. Let's talk about that. Bro saw death, old age, and like sickness for the first time and sat under a tree and said, I'm not moving. I'm not moving until I understand all of it. Literally. I don't think we understand it even to this day. There's no way he reached like an answer. Or the answer is that it will always be. Like that is the nature of life.
The demon Mara approaches him and tries to lure Siddhartha away from enlightenment with distraction and lust, but Siddhartha...
What? I didn't know about this storyline. Just inside your mind? Is this all happening like in his mind? Or I was just thinking about porn in his mind? That's crazy.
Siddhartha is like, I'm busy, cheers, and indeed becomes enlightened and attains nirvana. Nirvana literally meaning to blow out, to extinguish. We'll get...
To extinguish? Is there nirvana like the extinguishing of the soul? So when you die, you reach nirvana?
To it in a bit. But it was then that Siddhartha became the Buddha, or literally the awakened one, because he was now free of the three great poisons: delusion, greed, and hate. So
Delusion, greed, and hate. A man that cannot be deluded. How would you say greeded? Greedified, and cannot bear hate. pretty good combo. It's very happy, dude.
So one would imagine he was, as my climber friends like to say, pretty stoked, bro. And on your marks, get set, Buddhism, a world religion, is born. Oh yeah, the slightly tubby smiling guy you might have seen little statuettes of. Yeah, that's probably not the Buddha, but Budai, a 10th century monk. He's also thought by some to be Maitreya. Who's Maitreya? Okay, this gets wiggly. So Buddhist philosophy.
Don't tell me it's like some offshoot of Buddhism. How we already getting a new man that was introduced 10,000 years later.
Is kinda out there, man. And while Buddhists don't really have a creation myth, the universe wasn't spoken or sneezed into being, they do have some fairly trippy ideas about time. Often in Buddhism and Hinduism, cosmic duration is divided into eras called kalpas. When asked how long one type of kalpa was, the Buddha allegedly said the length of time it would take to reduce a mountain 16 by 16 by 16 miles to the size of a seed.
What? A kalpa is about the length of time it takes to take a mountain and crush it to the size of a seed that's 16 by 16 by 16 miles. Was bro just playing Minecraft in those old days? Why so specific?
If you rubbed it with a silk cloth once a century. So a while.
If you rubbed it with a silk cloth once a century? Dog. I think it grows more than you could rub off. You would never reach the end of it because it grows more than it rubs off. So a kalpa is never? We're solving things out here, chat.
Now, in some interpretations, Siddhartha Gautama wasn't the first Buddha to turn up. There have apparently been a bunch before and will apparently be a bunch after, and the next Buddha to turn up in our current era, in our current kalpa, ages from now, is supposed to be Maitreya, represented here, and possibly represented here also by this gentleman. And that's who the little tubby man is, so yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maitreya. Not as cool, man. Not as cool.
After about 45 years of teaching, the Buddha died in 483
No shit, we just ripped the bomb.
BCE. We'll just jump ahead a bit because I'm bored, and 2 millennia later, and Buddhism has fractured into a bunch of different schools. One is Tibetan Buddhism, and this next cheerful bald gentleman.
Tibetan Buddhism. Wait a minute. I thought this was... No, maybe not. Speaking of Tibetans, bro, I want a Tibetan Mastiff. I know they're huge and they're like tiger killers or whatever, and they probably cost like a $12 gajillion, but like I want one. You know how cool that would be? Not even cool. They're just cute dogs, man. They're like giant teddy bears.
Is of course the current Dalai Lama. It's tempting to think of the Dalai Lama as the Pope of Buddhism, and kinda, but the real Pope isn't the head of Christianity, just the Catholic Church. And the Dalai Lama isn't the head of Buddhism, he's the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Dalai Lamas aren't elected, they're found. When a Dalai Lama dies, the High Lamas leave it a while, then go looking for the child the deceased Dalai Lama has apparently reincarnated as. Then, once confirmed, the child is taken off to...
How do they just pick a kid off the street? How do they choose which guy's the next Dalai Lama? You just sit in the street one day walking with your mom. You're like, who's that guy? You, son, are the next Dalai Lama. They just pick you up and walk away. Like, what?
Lhasa, the capital of Tibet, to begin the process of learning to become the Dalai Lama again. The first Dalai Lama was born about 700 years ago and rose from a poor child born in a cattle pen to become one of the most respected teachers in Central Asia, and is rumored to have attained Buddhahood, then did a spot of the old dying. Then came Dalai Lama II, Electric Buddha.
Who like decides that though? Who decides that you've learned enough? Or do you just declare that yourself? Do you just walk around and you go, I've reached nirvana? And somebody tries to rage bait you and you just go.
At the age of 4, a child in the Tsang region of Tibet declares, Mum, Dad, I am in fact the Dalai Lama and I'd like to see my monks again, and is...
As a kid? Wait, pause.
Dalai Lama II, Electric Buddha. At the age of 4, a child in the Tsang region of Tibet declares, Mum, Dad, I am in fact the Dalai Lama and I'd like to see my monks again, and is...
At 4? Bro is speaking fluent at 4? Who reported this? His parents? Who reported this? He said, I am the Dalai Lama. I want to go see my monks. At 4 years old. Yeah, I'd believe him too. Honestly, if my kid looked at me like that and just said, I'm the Dalai Lama, I want to go see my monks, I'd be like, yep, you're right. Yes, you are.
Confirmed as the first reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. He has a good run and dies in meditation at the age of 67.
My kid at 4 years old turned to me and said, I am Jesus Christ. And I've never said a word about Christianity. I'm believing him. I don't care where he learned that. I don't care where he might have heard that, where like out of my earshot, somebody said that and he just caught on and just never left. Bro, I'm believing him. Say, yes, you are, kid.
His reincarnation is found just a few years
And then I'd bring him to never mind.
later, and so on, up until the 6th Dalai Lama. So this is a weird one. Due to events too finicky to go into, the 6th incarnation was recognized as the Dalai Lama a bit late, around the age of 15. A few years later though, when it got time to take his full vows, he refused, and it was not uncommon to see him staggering drunk around Lhasa and visiting brothels for some scripture and chill, maybe.
Bro, I thought the Dalai Lama was supposed to be like ridden of lust. That he was supposed to have reached nirvana and been like immune to this shit. What do you mean he's going to brothels for some scripture and chill, bro? What?
He also wrote some romantic and like kinda sometimes kinky poetry. If I could meditate as deeply on the sacred texts as I do on you, I would clearly be enlightened in this lifetime. As it
That's some crazy game. Nah, brother had game. Brother had game. That's insane.
in school is cool, but baby, for you, I got it bad. As we discussed, Tibetan Buddhism is just one branch of many, but across all the various schools of Buddhism, Mahayana, Theravada, and so on, there are some pillars that are just universally agreed upon. To begin with, there are the 4 noble truths, which are 1. Existing is a bit crap, namely full of
Is that word for word what it is?
dukkha, dissatisfaction. To be is to want. To want is to eventually be dissatisfied. We grasp
To be is to want. So to live is to want something. When you want something, you're living. To want something.
dissatisfaction. To be is to want. To want is to eventually be dissatisfied. We grasp for
Wow, they just jump. To want, you'll eventually be dissatisfied, bro. Whatever you want, you ain't gonna like it.
things, monies, funnies, feline tummies. Sometimes we get them, then we just keep grasping for more. 2. The cause
So it's saying it's very human to want more than you have. And so once you beat that, you've reached a stage of enlightenment.
of suffering is craving. Wanting is the problem, but is
Suffering is craving. So if you don't want anything, you won't suffer. Okay.
claim. Nothing, not mansions, not games that aren't buggy on release, can ever be so satisfying they kill desire. Desire is the problem because it never ends. 3. The end of suffering comes with the end of desire. The end
The end of suffering comes with the end of desire.
of grasping, the end of craving. The way out of the forest of suffering is not to pound down cheeseburgers and gold leaf vodka until
The only thing I'd say about that is we live in a society, man.
every desire is gone, but to extinguish the flame of desire itself. To quote a famous line, let go or be dragged. And finally, 4, everything will apparently be alright if you follow the Eightfold Path, which is basically CrossFit for Buddhists, and if I can think of any theologically appropriate jokes, maybe we'll get to it, but time is short, and I'm an alcoholic, not an educator. And while we're at it, how about we do the 3 marks of existence, the 3 constants of being alive. The first mark of existence is dukkha, dissatisfaction, but we've done this one already, and I hope you're listening because there will be a test at the end. The
What?
second is anicca or anicca,
Nobody told me that. Is homework due today? Bro, what?
Basically, impermanence. Reality, according to Buddhism, is a transient, ever-changing thing. Oh, you might reply, such a revelation, much deep. What next? Fire is hot, blobfish are gross. Well, actually, blobfish aren't gross, incidentally. Thank you. If you keep seeing this image around, that's a blobfish when it's pulled out of the water. Normally, blobfish prefer to stay at between 2,000 and 4,000 feet in the ocean where they look like reasonable fish.
No fucking way. Really? Dead ass?
They look like that because we yank them out of the water. And it's one thing that we have the audacity to troll them out of the ocean in the first place, but it's quite another to malign their appearance by pretending that's what they actually look like, because they don't. Much like if a huge hook came down and pulled one of us into space, and aliens just sat around chuckling at our vacuum-frozen, nitrogen-swollen corpses going, well, humans aren't very pretty after all. Anyway, chaps, how about an antimatter brewski? Stop it! Leave blobfish alone. Excuse me. Reality.
All right, man. Yeah, I won't. Matter of fact, I'll start defending blobfish now. Just because of that.
To our Buddhist friends is a formless swirling dance of is. From the entropic decaying galaxies to the type.
Matter of fact, I'm feeling so inspired right now. Oh shit, tough God. Turtle Man defended the blobfish. My life is complete. Enlightenment achieved. Say another bad thing about. I vow to never say another bad thing about blobfish after witnessing this video. This vow starts after the video. Because I want to get my laugh. No. We'll just end it there. We'll end it there. I vow to never say another bad thing about blobfish after witnessing this video.
Eroded rocks of the beach. All is flux, all is change, and you will die. But so will I, so it's alright. Our inability to accept anicca, to accept that everything is impermanent, is apparently a large source of our dukkha, of our suffering. And because we refuse to accept change, we cling to illusions of permanence.
I fucking love sloths. I love those things. You know, most of them die falling from trees because they think their arms are branches, and so they reach for their own arms and fall from a tree. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad.
We cling to the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and to the fleeting forms of the world. And on that note, let me tell you what a pleasure it is to live in one's third decade of life, when you can still enjoy not just the persistent facial acne you thought would go away over a decade ago, but at the very same time...
Dude. I don't think acne's ever going to go away on my face. I think I'll always have like one or two pieces. For the longest time throughout high school, I thought I was cursed. And so I'd like pop every single pimple. And honestly, I didn't have it as bad as other people. And I don't think I noticed that much in high school because you're just insecure about yourself the whole time. But as I was saying, I thought the pimples would never go away. And so I thought the only way to get rid of them was to just pop them, right? And obviously I was told that that would lead scarring, but I was like, well, fuck, if I just leave it here, it's just going to like pop anyway, or it's going to turn into whitehead. I'm going to not be able to resist not popping it. Pop it anyway. At the end of the day, I should have just gotten pimple patches, but like I was not that ahead of my game as a kid, as a high schooler. But eventually it just kind of goes away. And like I think the biggest thing for me was getting moisturizer on my skin. My skin was very dry, and so like identifying small things about your skin and even applying the smallest amount of skincare, I think goes a long way towards advancing pimples. Obviously, some people have it like chronically. That you have to go to like a dermatologist about. And this is not advice, medical advice in any way. I think you should definitely visit a dermatologist if you're worried about your pimples.
Begin to notice grey hairs popping up and say hi. While you stare at yourself, help still enjoy not just the persistent facial acne you thought would go away over a decade ago, but at the very same time begin to notice grey hairs popping up and say hi. While you stare at yourself helplessly in the bathroom mirror feeling 19 again and simultaneously 90 fucking 9. The third mark of existence is called anatta, and it's, well, you know, months ago I came down with a cheeky spot of the old you-know-what virus. I'm fine, thanks for not asking, and trapped indoors for weeks and almost terminally bored.
Whoa, crazy mixture going on here. When I got COVID for the first time, I was just telling my girlfriend this because we just got a TV in our bedroom. This is the first time I've ever had a TV in my bedroom besides the time I got, the virus. And I was bedridden for like genuinely 2 or 3 weeks. Like I could not get out of bed. I was so weak. I was so sick. It was terrible. Worst time of my life. My dad graciously allowed me to have a TV in my room during my suffering my suffering days in that bedroom. And I watched all of Markiplier's Doom playthrough because he was releasing it at the exact same time. I was so blessed. And it got me into Doom Eternal. Bro, so blessed.
I became quite massively addicted to a game called Town of Salem, which no one is paying me to tell you about, I just kinda liked it. So, very briefly,
Hey, I remember a bunch of streamers playing this game.
you're assigned a random role at the beginning of the game. You might be a member of the town, as in the goodies, or the baddies, the witch, for example. Basically the card game Mafia. Anyway, you don't have to play long before you start noticing that whenever you're assigned as a goodie, you sort of automatically hate the evil players for being so deceptive. And then again, when you're evil, you can't stand all those life-affirming do-gooder morons. And you start to have this creeping suspicion that quite a lot of what goes on in our gelatinous meat computers is kind of context-dependent. Because just as in the game...
Yeah, I think that's why so many people get so worried about what they're saying, get socially anxious, is because they're so aware of how many contexts there are. If your context in your head and your brain is good and good for the people around you and for yourself, and you're doing the action out of goodness or out of your context of good, then do what you want to do. If people get mad at you and bring you credible points to tell you that it makes them uncomfortable or whatever, you can apologize or you can take action however you want after. But if you are acting out of the goodness of your heart, it doesn't matter what context anybody else receives it in, because that cannot be controlled by you.
In life, we're assigned roles we have to play. Of gelatinous meat computers is kind of context dependent, because just as...
Bro, why is my browser tweaking?
As in the game, in life, we're assigned roles we have to play, of course. Student, employee, spouse, scripted, pretentious know-it-all online, etc. And like in the game, sometimes, it's hard to tell where the roles stop and our genuine personalities begin. And the Buddhist answer to this is that it's not just the world that's impermanent, but ourselves in it. Our outer identities are shifting all the time, of course. And that's just the external...
Yeah, but they kind of have to, right? Because we live in a society. Kind of, honestly. I mean, in the sense that consequences, we are, I don't know how to put this. We are acting the way we are because of the consequences of our actions if we do not. You don't, free of... Hold on. Let me replay this. Make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
Game, sometimes it's hard to tell where the roles stop and our genuine personalities begin. And the Buddhist answer to this...
Right, our genuine personalities. What our genuine personalities are. 2 things. 1, I don't think people discover or are capable of even discovering that until later in life. I just don't think it's in our... It's not... Your brain does not have the capacity to even understand I'm already losing it.
it's hard to tell where the roles stop and our genuine personalities
Genuine personality. I really need to lock onto that. You won't have or understand your genuine personality until you are grown. And so throughout your teenage years, you can act how you want to, but it won't be a genuine personality because you just don't have one. And that's why in like a year or two, when you look back, odds are you're probably not the same person. Like the odds of you looking back and going, I am the same, like that person that I am looking at is the same person as I am right now, are so low. I don't know if it's possible based on my own experience, of course. Like this is all based on my own, take it with a pinch of salt, right? But there are consequences to people's genuine personalities because when they grow and their personalities are influenced by everything as they grow up. As we grow up, we're the imitations of what we see and how we of what we see. How you act in high school is primarily based off of how you saw your parents and your peers act around you. That's just how it is. Not until you're in your growing, like 25, like your brain has grown, your capacity, you've seen more in life, do you start to have concrete opinions and things and have your own personalities. You mix and match certain things in your life. That's kind of where I am right now, is I'm developing a personality because I am starting to stand firm on certain subjects because my personality is developing. Before this, I couldn't have because I would just be an imitation because my brain didn't have the capacity to develop that, right? Because of some people's influences growing up, their personalities are not good for society. And so I don't think it is good for them to act on their genuine personalities because I think humans are meant to work together. We're like herd animals, kind of. I mean, we're kind of dissecting from that now. But like back when we were cavemen, we had to be, because in order to kill like a mammoth or a woolly mammoth or like an elephant, we had to be in a pack, right? And so I think there's still part of that in society to the point where the benefit of all of society is the benefit to you. And so suppressing your genuine behavior is sometimes a good to society, in which case is a good to you. That's the point I'm trying to make. Wow, that was a really long travel to get there. My bad. That was a rant.
begin. And the Buddhist answer to this is that it's not just the world that's impermanent, but ourselves in it. Our outer identities are shifting all the time, of course, and
that is normal, and that should be that way, right? The way you act indoors can, and to some degree should be different than the way you act like in a cafe.
just the external stuff. On the inside of our minds, it's even more mental. In watching the interior of one's own mind, it's all sense data and thoughts, irate, happy, bored, excited, whatever. But in not one of those sensations or thoughts will one find an I, a me. Obviously, something is doing the experiencing, but it doesn't appear to have a middle we can grasp or catch.
I think that's where we get into like the body versus the soul, right? So our soul is experiencing what our body is telling us we're experiencing.
Sight of. To bastardize a famous Buddhist story, if someone asked you to show them, obviously something is doing the experiencing, but it doesn't appear to have a middle we can grasp.
Holy, my web browser needs to stop doing this. My God.
I, a me. Obviously, something is doing the experiencing, but it doesn't appear to have a middle we can grasp or catch sight of. To bastardize a famous Buddhist story, if someone asked you to show them a plane, and you did, the ailerons and the rudder and the engines, and they said, yes, yes, but where's the plane though? You'd think that person was a few fries short of a Happy Meal, because a plane is just the sum of its parts. It's a bit like that with us.
So a human is just a sum of its parts. Sure. But I feel like those parts are... I don't think that can be really compared. Even in the airplane sense, because... Well, no. I don't think that could be compared because some people don't have some of their parts, which does not make them not human. Like just because somebody's an amputee does not make them less human than somebody who is. Well, unless you're basing it on feeling, but I don't think you can. I don't think just because you can feel like a leg and you can feel the pain that happens on that leg that you're more human than somebody without that leg because they can't feel it. That does not make sense to me, right? So I don't know if I can. I don't think I can agree with that.
Was a few fries short of a Happy Meal, because a plane is just the sum of its parts. It's a bit like that with us, our Buddhist friends say. There is no amount of clinging to our names, to our careers, to the constant white noise of nonsense thoughts inside by which we will catch sight of a tangible me, of an
Trying to see why though, you know? Like I'm not comprehending why they come to the conclusion that there is no me despite the searching interior. Like searching inside the mind for an I. Disregarding. I don't know why they disregard so much. Like physical things I can understand. Like I'm not me. Well, even some things like my name, right? Like you only know me by, well, Siku if you're watching this on Twitch, but James if you know me in person. My friends know me as James because I was given the name James. However, if I was given another name, I would still be me in some sense, right? If I was Maxwell, right? I'm still me, just under a different name. So what is declaring itself as me? I could say my brain, or I could say something spiritual. Yep, I've walked myself. I've stumped myself.
And that, in a very botched way, is the third mark of existence, anatta. We're clearly conscious, but our consciousness in Buddhism doesn't have a center, not in.
So they believe that there is something, but we just don't know.
Time, not in mental space. Our mental selves are constantly in flux, ever-changing, ever-impermanent. There is a bit of a similar sentiment in the sciencey cosmological tradition that we are star stuff, that underneath the complex recursive storytelling machinery of our brains, I am X years old, I am X feet high in X century, I am I. Beneath those stories there is biology, and beneath that is chemistry, and beneath that is a unity of physics and deep time that everything is made from. We were once these, then these, in a while we will be these.
Yeah, dude. It's baffling to see like what we were like when the meteor hit America. Not America. Wow, geez, the world. Blew up the dinosaurs. America. Wow, how like low-key gross of me. What were humans when the meteor struck Earth? We were like rats living underground. Let me see if we can find it. Yeah, I think we were. Shoot. I think we're these things. Like maybe not this big one, and maybe they're the same species, but I think we're these small little like rodent things. We all date back to this, if you believe in evolution. I'm like 90% sure. Could be lying to you right now. Who knows? I could always be lying to you, chat. I hope you know that. You just hope I'm not. Please don't be lying to me. Please don't be lying to me. Please don't be lying to me. Whoa.
But we were always this and will always be this. The idea is that our identities are incidental, and clinging to them over the majesty of the universe is wicked silly. There is no magical line between baby and us now that we can point to and say, and then I became.
What just happened, bro? What just happened? Why did that just do that? Let's back up here.
Once these, then these. In a while, we will be these. But we were always this and will always be this. The idea is that our identities are incidental, and clinging to them over the majesty of the universe is wicked silly. There is no magical line between baby and us now that we can point to and say, and then I became me. It isn't so much that we can't step in the same river twice, but with the entire...
Chat, what's the earliest memory you have? What was the first memory you had? Mine was... I'm like 90% sure. 98% sure. My dad does not say this happened. I am the only record of this, but I'm like 98% sure this happened. And I'll just get into the story. I asked my parents to play hide and seek outside because we lived in like a highly wooded area, so you could just like duck out in the woods. But I was we had like a second garage, we had a playground, a big ass yard. Dude, I miss that house. That house was fucking awesome, especially as a growing kid, right? 7-year-old me was having a fucking blast at that house. Anyway, I asked them to play hide and seek outside. I went outside for what I thought was a half hour. Now, of course, you're talking about 7-year-old me. I have no perception of time, bro. I have no idea. Like I'm barely grasping how long a minute is, right? So like 30 minutes could be very much so exaggerated. It could have been like 10 or 15. And they did not come outside, and it was already sunset by then. So I went inside, and I took a shit. That's the earliest memory I have. I used to, chat. Here's something. Did you guys ever get... Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy to say. Like, were you guys ever potty trained as a kid? Like, were you ever rewarded for using the bathroom as a kid? I don't know if that's a crazy thing. I don't know if every adult has to go through that, or if kids just like pick up on that nowadays. I was given Hot Wheels cars every time I used the bathroom. Yeah, bro. I had to get like potty trained as a kid. I don't know if that's crazy.
My world in flux, with us in flux. It's that we can't even step in the same river once.
It's a true fact, though. The soil is different every time. Can never step in the same river twice.
Dhammapada, the sayings of the Buddha.
Did you see that once?
Line, though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself.
Basically saying, no matter how many people you've killed in life, you know, all the people who like flex their Black Ops numbers, their KDA numbers, you say, yeah, but use a real gun. Or check if they use shotgun. No, it's saying that like, no matter what you achieve in this life, the noblest is the one who's capable of overcoming themselves. I don't think I really had to explain that. That was very mansplaining of me.
Or herself, obviously. Mastery of the self. It's a neat idea, and boy do we seem a long way off from that one. Just daily life is weird enough. Bound without security, lost without adventure, wandering quietly confused for years through the strange cityscapes of the 21st century, trying to find yourself in it, in any of it, trying to find the naive happiness of childhood once again. And is this what life is now, you think? Little bursts of euphoria a few times a year, drug-induced or chance-induced.
Wow, bro, he got deep real fucking quick. I did not expect that turn. Holy. There was a point I wanted to touch on. The childhood intrigue or whatever it is. The feeling of childhood where you got to like, the world was a little brighter. Still bright. Don't worry. Don't worry. Still bright.
Then back to the uniform grey of a day.
Life is still that way. You just have to convince yourself of it. Might be a little delusional, but I don't see why that's a bad thing. As long as you can control it pretty well. You know? You can delude yourself to be happy. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It is long term. Don't do it long term. If you have things to address in life, address them. Obviously. But if there's nothing you could do about it, you're just sitting around and like nothing at the current moment is happening. You can currently choose to be happy. That's an option.
You won't remember. And if you should ever stick your head up.
That is also it's hard to say based off circumstances, right? It's easy for me to say because I've been doing it for so long.
Up above the parapet to ask, "Excuse me, is this all there is?" Then only to be told to shut up and just get on with it. All the while knowing that a star died to make you and you no longer find romance in that. All the while being surrounded by miraculous technology and you no longer find romance in that. The absurd ever drama of just trying to be okay. And the game gets faster and the game gets harder, more gadget.
Yeah, that's a big thing. The game gets faster, dude. It feels like you need to do things faster all the time. That's one thing that I have to remind myself daily of. Like, it's okay to slow down. Societally, it doesn't feel that way, but it is okay to slow down. Like, it feels like everything needs to happen so quickly. And I think that started from like short form content and then like get rich things and then people actually getting rich from the get rich things and like the internet exploding and lies exploding. Dude, there's so much that goes into it. But like things just got faster, exponentially faster. Sometimes you need to like pipe the brakes for your own sanity. And that's okay, dude. That is okay.
It's more screens, more patches, and non-stick frying pans, and fiber broadband, and ultrasonic fucking toothbrushes. And thank you for your application, and sorry to hear you're feeling sad, and we did everything we could, but please God make me a stone. I promised myself I'd be more than this. I promised others I'd be more than this. Alive and not quite living, deathly not quite dead. And all the while rages the inner battle, the great quiet attempt to fix oneself, and knowing no one else can do it for you. And that battle is hardly limited to the individual. Our entire civilization is engaged in it too. On the 28th of January, 1986.
Damn. You know that feeling of Sonder? You know that feeling? Sonder is like when you understand that everyone else is living just as complex lives as yourself. That's the feeling that was just like induced into me there that moment. That was crazy. That was like, whew. Like, everybody on planet Earth, there are 8 billion of us. Old, young, middle-aged. Sorry, I had to hit everyone. Sick, healthy, in war, at home, at a park, sleeping under the stars, in Antarctica, fucking everywhere. And all of us have been through something and have felt all these complex emotions and feelings. And we've been doing this for like thousands of years, bro. It's like so complex, you know?
An O-ring failure led to the space shuttle challenge.
And the position we're in today's society, where we're like, we've explored all of Earth, most of Earth. I mean, our ocean's like 90% water. But we've explored most of Earth, but we're too early to explore most of this, like most of space. Like we haven't quite gotten there. I hope at some point, I hope we get off of Earth and find another habitable planet. That's like the biggest thing I want humanity to ever do. That's it. That's it. Am I kind of crazy for me to say that, expecting other people to do it? Maybe we'll do streams later that have like charities towards space exploration in some way, and I'll have to take a look into exactly how all of that works, because I know damn well I'm not contributing to that in any way. My bad. Maybe I'll inspire somebody, but like I directly am not doing anything to advance that. So whoopsies.
Exploding about 72 seconds into launch, killing all 7 aboard. It was horrific. Later, news anchor Tom Brackau would say of the accident, "The American public will be demanding some difficult answers, and of course, we'll all have to examine what it is that we want from this era of high technology." Those words were said almost 40 years ago now, but they couldn't be truer still today, because it's a fairly weird age to live in at the moment. Watching the human race attempting to protect itself from itself, like a teenager, all mood swings, all experimenting with new ideologies, all smashing up mum's car and refusing to apologize. In the last 30 years, about 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty, which is incredible, obviously. But as it stands in 2021, currently 2 in 3 humans still live on below $10 a day, and 1 in 10 on less.
66% of the world gets paid less than $10 a day. What the fuck? That's like 5.4 billion people.
Less than $2 a day, not to mention the 800.
What?
It stands in 2021, currently 2 in 3 humans still live on below $10 a day, and 1 in 10 on less than $2 a day.
10%, 800 million people work for less than $2 a day. It's like $2 a day?
Not to mention the 800 million people who currently don't have access to safe drinking water, plus the about 14,000 kids under 5 who are dying preventable deaths every day, all of which we will all no doubt agree is fucking bullshit. And on top of that, about 800,000
facts.
People, or 1 Copenhagen, take their own lives every year, and it's the 10th leading cause of death in the US alone. If there was a day, just one day every century, when we all got together to hash out what our goals actually are as a species, like top 5 to-dos for Homo sapiens in the next 100 years, cheeky trip to nearest star system, it's on there for sure, making it a UN human rights.
Facts, dude. If we do not make it out of planet Earth, dog, if humans as a species end here, bro, we had the biggest, as far as we're concerned, we have the biggest opportunity. As far as we are concerned as human species, we have the biggest opportunity to expand on literally the biggest thing we can ever see, and that is space. The only issue is it costs fucking trillions of dollars, quadrillions of dollars to get there.
It's violation to start a Tinder conversation with a single smiley face on sapiens in the next 100 years. Cheeky trip to nearest star system, it's on there for sure. Making it a UN human rights violation to start a Tinder conversation with a single smiley face. On the list.
Yo, who's starting out their convos with that? Everyone knows the like hey system. Like if it's just an HEY, it means they're like not interested. If it's like 5 Ys, they're like kind of interested. If it's like 7 Ys, they're like super interested. Things like that. Yeah, bro. Who opens up with a smiley face? What am I supposed to respond to? That's like walking up to wait, pause. No, because who the fuck is doing that? That's like walking up to somebody. Just doing this. Hello? Now I don't want to talk to you, bro. Who who opens up a Tinder conversation like that? What? Yeah, I'm actually backing this movement. We're making this a human rights violation.
Definitely, but try to make sure everyone's doing cool and like eating and stuff. No one in their right mind would put that below number 1. Followed closely behind by number 2, when everyone's eating and stuff, let's all work out how to be happy, or at least not living on the edge of existential despair. Yet
the issue with this, I mean, this would be so, this is like striving towards a utopia, but humans are so susceptible to like greed and like, there are just some people who develop personalities that are just so susceptible to like doing things either for themselves, and like that's you get like an extreme example like North Korea. Like I'm pretty sure all those people are living for Kim Jong-un, and like not that they want to, but like that's selfishness. Like humans are so susceptible to that I don't think this utopia would ever be possible. Because like everybody you meet has a degree of selfishness. There's selfishness. To a degree, you should, right? You should prioritize yourself to a degree. But some people are just like outlandish about it.
Deed is the noblest victor who conquers himself. Or rather, if we make it to the distant future where we have warp drives and free energy or whatever, and at the very same time hundreds of millions of us are still living in extreme poverty, that isn't Star Trek, that's fucking Blade Runner. And except for the flying cars and cool clothes, we really don't want Blade Runner. The upside of all of this, of course, is that it is a choice, and human problems can be solved by human beings. In the words of the much-missed David Graeber, the ultimate hidden truth of the world is that it is something that we make, and could just as easily make differently. Things could be a whole lot worse. Things could be a whole lot better. Anyway, this has not been an attempt to convert anyone to Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist. I'm barely a person. But as an ideology, Buddhism has in part probably persisted for over 2 millennia now, because it points directly to questions that are just as relevant today as they were 2 millennia ago. Namely, how can we overcome suffering? Why are we always fighting our own stupid nature? And what actually are we? And the answer to a lot of that, Buddhism says, rather uniquely, is not up into the big transcendent, but down into the acceptance of the impermanence of the world and into the murk of our messy nature.
So Buddhism is just like accepting that life is just messy, that we just don't have those answers.
That liberation, salvation, whatever we call it, is waiting inside.
This is the trippiest visual he's put on here, bro. My eyes are not fucking with this.
The way out is down. And as we head deeper into potentially the most dangerous century in human history, this battle of trying to regulate our bizarre prehistoric tendencies might determine whether we come out the other side of this century. Because we're getting wicked technological, but like, are we much wiser for it?
No, bro. And we're seeing that shit with AI, bro. We are not, as a species, we are not advanced enough to operate it. We're too stupid for it. We are too gullible as a species for it. We've developed text as a truth too much for us to to use ChatGPT.
Probably know the Kardashev scale already. It's basically a litmus test for categorizing how advanced civilizations could become. So, a Type 1 civilization could utilize all the energy available on its home planet, a Type 2 civilization, all the energy available in its solar system, and a Type 3 civilization, all the energy available in its galaxy. And that's all well and good, but the Kardashev scale...
Yeah, we're at cookie dough and a glizzy combined. Sounds so good. Okay, so we're talking about type 1, 2, and 3 civilizations, how they can use energy in how a type 1 civilization uses all the energy in the world, and a type 3 uses all the energy in the universe. Where the fuck did you get cookie dough and glizzy combination? Cookie dough. Pause. No, it does not. Anyway, Earth right now, or as a species as we are right now, I think we are at a 1.9, and I don't think we're smart enough to get into 2. I think we are utilizing every single resource except for nuclear energy. Oh my God, I almost got into a rant about this, and I'm going to make it a rant now because it's a great segue, dude. Nuclear energy. I swear to God, if Chernobyl never happened, life would be so drastically different. If we continued, a blueberry pizza is a thing. That is a thing. If we continued with nuclear energy, that would have been life-changing. Like, unbelievably life-changing. The amount of energy that nuclear energy produces and how clean it is unreal. Unreal. But unfortunately, Chernobyl happened, and nobody trusts nuclear energy now. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous. That's what they say.
Measures a civilization's success and good, but the Kardashev
Yo, my browser needs to lock in.
scale measures a civilization's success by its energy consumption. Though we could use another metric, wisdom. A Type 1 wisdom civilization could have progressed to a state where no one goes hungry.
A type 5, a level 5 criminal is you, bro. And a level 50 mob boss is taking your wife. A type 1 wisdom master.
Where no one needlessly dies of easily
I
curable
guess type 1 would not be the wisdom. You're a type 1 wizard, and you're about to get ruined by a type 3 sorcerer dog.
diseases, and everyone has at least the same starting conditions universally on which to try and build a life. Type 2 might be a civilization where no one has to involuntarily suffer from physical or mental maladies, from chronic pain, from anxiety, etc. Maybe where we stop inflicting industrial scale harm on our animal mates and keeping them in horrific conditions. But rant over, I won't go on about it. And Type 3...
Yeah, it's facts. There was one time, speaking about terrible living conditions, bro. On HBO Max, there is a thing called Ambient Swim. It's just ambient noise by Adult Swim, right? One of the greatest playlists I've ever listened to for just getting shit done. I put it on the background all the time. I love it, right? Ambient Swim is a episode 6 with the dude who narrates over the footage is like my favorite episode. Anyway, there was one time where I had that shit playing and then I had left the house for a while, and when I came back, there was ambience of like a farmhouse, but like not like ethically, no ethic, nothing ethical was happening at this farmhouse. The cows were like locked into their feeding bays and fans were blasting, and it was ambience of it. Dog. You're giving me on a paid platform. First of all, I expect this shit out of like YouTube. You found the wildest shit on like YouTube or like on Reddit, bro. On a paid platform, you're showing me torture as just in ambient noise. Who's listening to that? Who's listening to cows ambiently and like industrial fans in a farmhouse? You can like hear the heat and like the muckiness of the air. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't know who's listening to that shit, but I was just like baffled by it.
A civilization where human, animal, sentient toaster, whatever, doesn't have to suffer at all. With disease dead, with humankind finally liberated from the evolutionary genetic shackles that have been tied around our legs for millennia. And if we finally arrive at that party at the end of time, as actual adults at last, as technological bodhisattvas, as masters of our own destiny, we'll hopefully spend at least a little while marveling at just how miraculous it was that we managed to live through an era in which we could land robots on other planets and simultaneously still didn't quite know how to be happy or properly take care of all the human family yet. And if we make it to that party...
Yeah, it's like we're spreading civilization too thin, bro. We're trying to go to space. We're trying to discover the ocean. We're trying to save the ice caps. We're trying to save the cows. We're trying to do everything, bro. We need to like cut some out and look towards some others.
Together as a species, that would be way cool, yo. I'm hella stoked for that, yo. I trust you are too, yo.
My name is Skylar White, yo.
But until then, well, until then. So, until then. And until then.
What a W video. I've never seen that one, dude. I cannot believe I'm not subscribed to them. Exerbia, dude. W channel. Love their videos. Love their stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is coming up in the end stream time, though. And so I will let us go here. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, watching those videos with me. These will be uploaded very soon. I think we had some fantastic conversations today. On Thursday, Wednesday's my off day, so do not expect to see me. We're not streaming tomorrow. It's just not happening. Not letting it happen. On Thursday, though, we have a morning sesh. My brother's graduation is that day, so I will be out of the town. My town, when I would stream. So I am pushing it to the morning. We're going to play some Viva Pinata. I'm stoked for that shit, yo. I'm stoked for that, yo. Hella excited, yo, to play that. I have not played in so long. It's a childhood game. It's niche. Anyway, I'll catch you guys later. See you later. Peace.